So first things first, the easiest part, the summoner spells. You will be running Ghost Flash pretty much every game. I have no reason why you should take Teleport over Ghost Flash. Teleport is also more focused in the bot lane, whereas Ghost works everywhere. It enables you in those early game rotations to play for the Void Grubs and Heralds, and you can rotate the top side much smoother. It fixes your lane because the lane is wide open. Everything can gank you from every side. There's even dark spots in the mid lane, which is a very new thing and unique to deal with. Stuff like Nunu is gonna zoom into your lane, and you will only see it when it reaches halfway point. And unless you have Ghost, you're dead. So Ghost is number one to run there. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go Comet, obviously. This one, I recommend Mana Flow Ban for just, you can be more liberal with your mana usage. But in case of tough matchups, you're dealing with Fizz, he's super popular right now. You're dealing with Talia jungle, Elise jungle. You're afraid of that double AP burst. Boom, you go Nullifying Orb, perfectly fine. You're dealing with Zed, who's also popular now, getting a buff. You can go Nimbus Cloak. He ults you, you pop Ghost with Nimbus Cloak, you dodge all shurikens. Here, you have many options, but because of value of cooldown reduction has went up, because it's more scarce right now. There's less CDR in the game for mages in general, so the value of CDR went up, so Transcendence is just that good. You'll see with this build, it's gonna fix our build. And we go Scorch. This is the big deal. This could be due to the just season start, and it's more chaotic and it's more RNG because of your teammates, skill disparity and all that. Maybe it's gonna shift throughout the season and the playstyles when it all settles down. But for now, Scorch is way better. That is because there's more early game fighting. The early pressure is more worth because you don't necessarily always play for late game and scaling, and that's no longer like a sure thing. You really want to create your impact as early as possible. Lane pressure, into shoving the waves, into roaming to top side, into contesting the Void Grubs, into contesting the Herald, and getting these minor advantages. So Scorch is very good and it scales fairly well. Because here, to complete the utility, Cosmic Insight works superbly well with everything you're running, with the Ghost, with the Flash. Trust me, this is going to be very good. And another thing, I really love Minion Dematerializer. Minion Demat fixes our vulnerabilities, can provide you with a free cheater recall because you do Minion Demat wave 4, wave 5, and wave 6 cannon. You get a free recall, which negates our defect of not running teleport. So we can get a free cheater recall, we come back, and now we have Ghost and we're powerful and we're equal in lane, and then you're just in time to fight the Void Grubs and map control. So that one is really good. Now again, in a tough matchup, let's say you're laning versus Xerath, you're insecure if you can dodge abilities and all that. Boom, you run Biscuit Delivery, you can run this, you can run this. Because Biscuit Delivery also gives you mana, that means you probably don't have to run Mana Flow Ban. So if it's a tough matchup, you can do these pair-ups. But this one is really good for control. And here, Ability Haste has huge value, but because we're running Transcendence, that gives us 10. And we're gonna build one item which gives us 20 at the start, you'll see. That gets us to 30, and 30 is fairly decent. You can run 38, but with this setup, you can kind of go early AP for more damage. This is one of the safest setups you can run right now, and it's very good. On towards the second one, the more aggressive version, which I recently tested out, and it looks so good. Now, I recommend you use this more into melees, okay? We're back to Thunderlord's Decree, if you guys remember. Back in the day, Thunderlord's Decree was the bread and butter for Vel'KOZ. It was very good. Electrocute is basically stand-in for that, and now Electrocute Vel'KOZ is back. What you want to do with this one is you primarily want to take it into melees where you can proc it. You're dealing with Fizz, very popular right now. You're dealing with Talon, very popular right now. You're dealing with Echo, very popular right now. Zed, all of those. This gives you huge value because it's proccable and Comet is dodgeable. You can weave in auto attacks on melees, which are gonna enable you to proc this much easier, and they don't dodge the Comet with their jumps. So what you do with that is, because also you're doing melee and you can hit the melees and proc auto attacks, we also pair it up with Cheap Shot. Now we already have two very aggressive abilities. This is huge for your early game, and again, the focus has shifted more into early game, into map control during that early and mid game. We're not necessarily playing for giga scaling anymore. Here's why this is also very good. We get Ghost Poro. Ghost Poro gives us a ton of AP for free. Also, the Ghost Poro vision is tremendous. It gives you so much control because the map is new, people don't know what they're doing with the map, and usually you're gonna be running into lack of vision, and Ghost Poro fixes that. It gives you like these, in a ton of these little nooks and crannies, is gonna leave lingering vision, which is gonna be very useful. And now the kicker, we get the Ultimate Hunter. This is like a very old school style Vel'KOZ. Ultimate Hunter is now back. We can run that in mid lane, and we're gonna be pairing it up with Malignance, which gives us in total 51 haste just on ult. That is phenomenal. So you'll see, you're gonna get many ults, which is more aggressive, more control, damage. Like, all of this is pure damage and aggression. And this is how you crush melees. Now, because we don't want to waste early too much money on buying tier or mana items, we go Mana Flow Band. This is the most early game thing you can pick up out of all these. And obviously you get the theme. We're playing early game damage. 3 damaging abilities. Cheap Shot, Scorch, Electrocute. All 3 of these are going to do insane damage in early game. I think here you probably want to run Haste. Because of the initial haste value, we're only going to be running 20 right now. Now you can get away save it out it, but we're only gonna have 20 right now in this matchup, because we're only gonna buy Malignus. I'll show you the build soon. By getting extra 8, it's nearly another 50% on regular abilities. So what you're gonna be doing in mid lane, you're gonna start something like this. You're going with a Doran's in lane. When you come back, we're probably going to be skipping Dark Seal in a lot of games, unfortunately. I love Dark Seal, but it will delay our spikes. Now, you can get it. Obviously, if you're leaving the base and you can't really spend the money, we'll buy it, but we will not be ruining our Lost Chapter purchase by Dark Seal. I used to do that all the time because it's too valuable. You just stay alive. That's it. Here, we're going to play a bit more aggressive and more sacrificial. It's no longer a Shear's Fire thing when you go to late game. So, this is the purchase. We're going to go into this. And we rush Malignance. We will be rushing Malignance. That gives us 28 haste that we talked about. And that's going to be our bread and butter haste throughout the late game. We're going to pair it up with Sorcerer Shoes. Now, there's a little bit of hidden synergy here. A lot of people don't know that Malignance also reduces enemies' resistances. And you're probably like, okay, Storm Surge has to happen. Actually, no. Mathematically, this is by far the best you can do. Shadow Flame. Mathematically, Shadow Flame is the best you can run right now. Storm Surge is a little bit of a bait right now. It's tied to a cooldown, which is a bit bad for the consistency in the team fights. It can only proc on one target. Vel'KOZ is more of a, like a AoE damage dealer. Shadow Flame is much more consistent. The only issue is it's a bit more difficult to purchase. But this is what you want to run. Shadow Flame is the number 2 item you really want to go for, because it's really going to enhance your damage numbers in terms of everything. Seeing the true damage crit is so massive for these fights. The beauty of this build is you're itemizing essentially pen, which shreds people who have no MR. So less MR, we're going to be doing more, but you're just Vel'KOZ and you have true damage anyway, so that means you're going to deal with tanks no matter what. Okay, so that's 2 items. Now there are 2 options, really depending on how much money you have in the game. Mathematically, the best one for maximum damage output is Rabadon's Death Cap. That gets us to 500 AP, essentially doubling it, and now our damage goes absolutely through the roof. At this point, there's no enemy you can shred because our total is like 6,000 damage. There's no enemy you can kill. That's only with 1 rotation. Versus tanks, you're often going to be doing like minor combo, you kite, you're going to do another W, you're going to do another Q, you kite, and then this. And that's 7.2, essentially. That's a lot of damage. The numbers don't really matter, but you can get the grasp of how much base damage Vel'KOZ really has. Now, 4th item, well, it turns out, even if they have a lot of MR, like let's say they have about 100 MR, it turns out that the damage numbers of something like Criploom, which will probably always go instead of Void Staff. I think Criploom is just too much of value and it's cheaper and also gives us haste. Turns out that Horizon Focus is crazy good. It gives you 10% increased damage to everyone. That increases true damage and it reveals people on the map and it gives us haste. So Horizon Focus will be our 4th or 3rd item depending whether we can afford it. And we're going to top off the build with one of the optionals. Either in late game you want to get Safety on Banshees, which also provides a lot of AP, which synergizes with Death Cap, or you want Zhonya's, or if they have a lot of MR, you can go something like Criploom, also more CDR, helps your team survive, because Criploom can heal at this late game 400 on everybody, which means you can get about 2,000 healing in a team fight on a takedown. So that's pretty massive. There's obviously Cosmic Drive option as well, which gives you move speed when you hit something. It's pretty good. And you got this blue effect, you know.